And I said, what about breakfast at Fishney's? She said, I think I remember that film. And as I recall, I said, we both kind of liked it. And I said, well, that's one thing we got. It's breakfast at Fishney's. Steve, as long as you can hear me, Brian, VJ, Apple, DB, Joey, as long as you can hear me, we're good. Killa with a $5 pitch in the super chat to get us going today. Are we ready to admit that last year's team was overrated? 12-5. 12-5 is real, but so's 3-5. And man, does that slap you in the face? We're not even to we're not even to Thanksgiving yet. We're not even close to Thanksgiving. We're just to my birthday. And the Cowboys already have as many losses as now as they've had in each of the last 3 years. Henry, you can hear me, right? Thank you, Tolo. Spank, Grand Rising Uncle Fish. Thank you. Are we good? Audio good? Apple, our season is done. Kind of. You really just, if you choose to, you just morph into a different chair that you sit in watching that season. And of course, part of that chair is today, NFL trade deadline today, 3 p.m. Dallas time. And then that'll be it. That'll be enough of the Nationals. That'll be enough of the casuals making stuff up. But until we get there, I'll tell you what I'm going to do if we have time. If you give me 15 minutes, I'll give you the Cowboys world on the NFL trade deadline. I believe I have, straight dope, no bullshit, a top 10 list of guys that the Cowboys should really trade today. Once Jerry quits pretending that they want to be buyers. I should note this. One of the things that this team could do is a trade for the sake of a trade. And I think that's a horrible way of doing business. But they've done it before. Hey, let's trade our fifth string cornerback for your fifth string cornerback. There's that. Does that count? Does that mean you're a buyer? No. Let's trade our Kelvin Joseph for your Kelvin Joseph. Hey, look at us. A waste of paperwork. Kenneth Easley with a $5 pitch in with a great point. Uncle Fish, CeeDee Lamb showed the difference in heart and character over Amari Cooper. I don't know about heart. I don't know about character. Let me just go with shrinkage. Amari Cooper showed up at the Browns game the other day, got off the team bus, and with the cameras rolling in his suit, had a gigantic wrap on his wrist coming from his hotel room, and then didn't play in the game. I'm just saying, if you follow what we do here, 72,000 fish heads in combination, you know exactly what I'm saying. CowboysCountry.com is on fire. We are all over the Cowboys, the moves, the non-moves, Jerry, Dak, Zeke, the quarterback decision, and of course the NFL trade deadline. And we start here. Schefter, what are you doing? Adam Schefter goes on TV on Monday morning and essentially suggests, reports that there's conversations about a Micah Parsons trade. Diddly diddly dink, there are? Now, Schefter makes the point that the Cowboys should be sellers instead of buyers. That's not, every slappy knows that. That's not new. That's not clever. We've been talking about the seller concept for weeks, based in large part on Dallas's blow-it-up plan. That, if you get to the trade deadline and you're 5-3, fine. Then you can massage the plan a little bit. You're 3-5. You don't have a quarterback. You're rudderless. The schedule is disastrous for you going forward. You can start initiating the 2025 blow it up remodel now. But then Schefter goes a step beyond what I've been saying. He says he expects teams to call the Cowboys about Micah. and he kind of couches this inside a conversational shell because Adam Schefter is supposed to be a reporter. He says, maybe we should check to see if they'd be willing to move on from Micah, which I don't think they would be, but those are the conversations that are going on. Schefter, conversations where? Because he says this, again, as if we're kind of just sitting around with our feet up on the coffee table. Who's saying, is this a report? Adam Schefter has multiple teams telling him they're going to call the Cowboys today in an attempt to trade for Micah Parsons. That's quite a story. ESPN should probably write that story. They haven't. They have their feet up on the coffee table, either hinting at it or protecting a source who says, yeah, it's really going to happen, but don't say it. Just put your feet up on the coffee table. Or it's complete clickbait baloney. I must say, Big J journalist here, straight dope, no bullsh. There's something about the way Schefter did this that stinks on ice. It's a level below journalism. He's got to find a way, and he's not very good at this. He's got to find a way to frame this as this is what he thinks, because the way he said it is making it sound like he's suggesting, because it's his job. He's an insider. It's his job to read his text on the air. You're left with the assumption, if you know his reputation, the good part and the bad part. You're left with the impression that he's getting texts saying, we're calling the Cowboys on Tuesday. Jeff G., they should trade Parsons. There's another great argument to be had. In fact, we're writing about this at cowboyscountry.com right now. I'll do it here. I'll do it with you. Part of the great argument is, do you want to pay Micah Parsons $40 million a year? Because that's where this is going. Next summer, next fall. But you should know that in NFL history, since we're going back years now, the blockbuster trade for a defensive player, and I've seen a lot of people they could get 3 first-round draft picks for him. That's never happened. It usually gets you a first and an additional lower pick. Khalil Mack, 2018, Bears, that was 2 first-round picks. By the way, did that work out for him? Didn't they eventually, and he made 7 Pro Bowls, didn't they eventually then trade him away? They gave up 2 first-round picks for Khalil Mack, and I don't think they won any Super Bowls because of it. Unless Dallas is changing its mind drastically about Micah as a foundational player, and I understand the debate, and we've had the debate, and it's a worthy one. He's a foundational player. It's Dak Lamb and him, and then Diggs, supposed to be, and Tyler Smith will be. Otis, the Khalil Mack deal is the floor, except, okay, but that's not how it happens. Sugar Crane, I'd trade Micah for 2 1s and 2. Great, that's fine. But that's not how it happens. There's not really precedent for that. It's also worth noting this idea that, well, they can't afford him is false. Jonathan Trotta pitching in 10 pounds into the super chat. Trading Parsons for picks sounds good, but you still have to pay the piper, pay the player. Well, eventually you've got to pay those guys that you draft. That's correct. If you can get 2 first-round picks, eventually you pay them, unless you do what we've discussed here, which is do what you just did with Michael. Trade them away in 4 years before you have to pay them. Q-Dog, trade Micah after the season. 32 teams will be bidding. But why is that better than now? If you really want to do this, shop him now. And if you don't get what the offer you like, fine, shop him then. But remember, you will be in search of the next Micah. and they're hard to find. Also, remember again, you have budgeted for this. You are planning this. Joe Rakes, the Herschel Walker trade worked out. That'll never happen again. You got the multiple picks, okay, for Herschel, and you got the players that when you dumped them allowed you to get more picks. That'll never happen again. Brandon Mitchell, why are we talking about trading Parsons? Because Adam Schefter of ESPN sat on a lazy boy and told you it's a conversation being had in the NFL right now. Now, can I give you real ideas? Man, if that, we put Adam Schefter and ESPN on blast here quite a bit. Brian C., $5 pitch in a super chat. Uncle Fish, broad question. How long do you think it'll take for this team to be a Super Bowl contender again? You'd love for the turnaround to be quick. It's conceivable. Happens all the time. Happens. Last place teams become first place teams all the time. The league's designed that way. But true contention, it's taken Atlanta 4 years. Manga, I hope you understand who you're accusing of clickbait. I'm saying that pending Adam Schefter being proven right, if we find out today at 3:01 that teams beat down the door of the star trying to get their hands on Micah Parsons, I mean, I will issue a gigantic apology. But I'm saying what they're doing is clickbait. That the idea of Micah Parsons getting traded by the Cowboys today is not a behind-the-scenes NFL conversation piece. I'm saying is not. Schefter saying is. We'll see, right? We'll see in about 8 hours. Let me give you real names. And thank you guys for pitching into the super chat. And keep in mind, we're not talking about, nobody's giving you a first round pick. Nobody, we're talking about who wants to give me a 5? Who wants to give me a 6? Q Doug, if you want picks, you trade Dak. That's not in play. Now, I'll give you the shorthand on Dak and CeeDee Lamb. You just wrote them 2 of the biggest checks in NFL history. I haven't even looked it up, what the dead money would be, but you just invested, all that investment, cap-wise and cash-wise, would be gone. It's nonsense. That's not happening. So the next media outlet that tells you they should trade Dak doesn't know anything about how this works. So I'm helping you with your friends. Dump it. I'll give you a real 10. Here's a real top 10. Game time. Try to move Damone Clark. What happened? Where is Damone Clark? Friend of the show. We've mentioned Donovan Wilson before. The problem is I don't think Donovan Wilson's playing well enough to make him a commodity. Here we go with a real top 10. Zach Martin. I know it's emotional. Take the call. Zach Martin is out of contract after this year. Out of contract. I believe he's going to retire. Certainly a consideration. Move along. Number 2, this one's tricky. Deron Bland. He's not out of contract. Do you think that he's the next $20 million quarterback? And are you prepared to have 2 $20 million quarterbacks? Cornerbacks. Is Deron Bland, is his stock ever going to be higher than it is right about now? If he was healthy, it'd be even higher. Super healthy. Maybe he'll be healthy this Sunday against the Eagles. Number 3, I think this is the easiest call on the list. Jordan Lewis. He's plays at a high level, team leader, gutsy guy, good player in the slot, good soldier. He's on a 1-year deal. It's expiring. He can come back here again next year and sign another 1-year deal. Go let him be a rental somewhere. Teams that need a good slot cornerback who's a good soldier. Washington? Let him go. Get him. Get a 7th round pick for Jordan Lewis. Number 4, Trey Lance. You gave up a 4. You'll never get that back. You'll never get that back. It's time to salvage what's turned out to be a mistake. I'm not saying it wasn't a good try. It's turned out to be a mistake. Get anything you can. He's on the cusp of free agency. I'm going to note this because the Nationals and the casuals keep writing, the Dolphins they could really use a trade. Nobody has a use for Trey Lance. Nobody needs a 3rd string quarterback. Nobody's trading for a 3rd string quarterback. If for some reason on Sunday, if last night in Tampa, all 3 of their quarterbacks had gotten hurt, okay, that's different. That didn't happen. Patrick Mahomes almost got hurt, didn't he? If some team completely collapsed, the whole quarterback room all fell into the river. That didn't happen. It's not happening. Item 5, I think Eric Kendricks is a good one. TW, maybe the Browns would be interested after, but they have Dorian. Dorian's better than this. Dorian's better than Lance. And why would the Browns at 2, what are they, 2-6? Why would the Browns give up? They want to give up an asset for a 3rd string quarterback? I think Eric Kendricks, item 5, is a good one. He's a real live starting NFL middle linebacker who wears the green dot. He's actually been solid here. Let him go be solid somewhere else. Give me a 6th round pick. Number 6, Osa. Good player, but not a foundational one. Dallas needs to weigh what he might bring in a comp pick. You have to think about that, right? And I haven't calculated it, they need to calculate it. They need to take a guess. What would Osa bring them when he leaves, if and when he leaves in free agency? Does that end up giving them a 4th round pick? Then don't take a 6th round pick for him. Wait for your comp pick. You guys are discussing Overshown. You don't, with the rarest of exceptions, you don't trade a decent player, let alone a good one, on his rookie contract. You do not. Cheap labor. Cheap labor is what you're trying to get. Item 7, Linval Joseph. He came here to help Mike Zimmer. Hadn't worked. Cheap 1-year deal. He's 36. Let him go help somebody. Item 8, Brandon Cooks. Again, good soldier. Does he have this much gas left? Who needs a 3rd receiver? Who knows what he's doing? Dallas should allow any bidder to find out what he's got. Jason L. Fish, straight dope, no BULLSH as usual. Guy number 9 is DeMarcus Lawrence. He talks a lot about his Super Bowl dream. It's not happening here. Now he's at the end of his deal. $21 million, $20 million a year. Those paydays are over. He banged up. He's a free agent, right? After this year, between now and then, maybe the dream happens somewhere else. Emotional, just the Zach Martin thing. Very emotional. Tough call. Take the call. And finally, item 10, Mozzie Smith. 2nd year, 1st round pick. I'm going to be polite here. Hasn't worked out. Bob Heck with a $5 pitch and says, trade Clueless Jones and Catboy. Can't do that. That's illegal. Dave Zen, this team is undisciplined and mixed up with divas. Not wrong. Not wrong. this is something that Troy Aikman said to me a long time ago. This must have been 1990. It might have been after 1 or 2 Super Bowls, and he was so mad at practice. And Jimmy was still here. So what's your problem? He says, these guys walk around here. He's talking about the new guys. They walk around here like they've won 2 Super Bowls. These rookies, these new guys, they walk around. And I hadn't thought of it at the time. It's certainly been established to be now. People do. Cowboy players do walk around like they've accomplished something because they play in Dallas. Second-year first-round pick has not worked out, Mozzie. He's still on his affordable rookie contract. So wouldn't trading Mozzie Smith violate my cheap labor thing? It would violate my cheap labor thing. And I'm doing it anyway. I'm taking the call anyway. Here's the biggest problem on a Mozzie Smith trade. It would be an incredibly egg-on-your-face admission. We've got last year's first-round pick, and now we're trading him for a 7? They'll never do that. We talk a lot about, and a lot of people who don't even know who Jerry Jones talk about his ego and his pride. And this isn't just a Jerry Jones thing. This is an organizational. Will McClay doesn't want to do that either. Will McClay, nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to announce, hey, remember our incredible first-round pick from 15 months ago? We just traded him for a 7. So those are the real names. And there's a few more we could toss in there too. Those are the real names. If Micah Parsons is a real name, then Adam Schefter is going to get a gigantic apology from me. But he shouldn't hold his breath. And you shouldn't hold your breath between now and 3 o'clock thinking that there's going to be a gigantic blockbuster that the Cowboys are involved in. If, however, there is a gigantic blockbuster or a little tiny blade of grass moves, guess who's all over it today? From Frisco, home of the Dallas Cowboys. That's me. Fish out.